Good Wednesday morning, everybody. It is August 24th, I believe, about 7:30 a.m., maybe 8. The cows crossed the wire. They weren't supposed to do that, but they did. Oh well, at least they crossed the wire to where they're supposed to be. So I'm out of feed because it all molded, and then I got some extra feed, some old feed that I pulled out of storage. Hey, stop touching my wire, guys. Anyway, the wire's off. At least I sure hope it is. So, come on across, guys. Whoa! Whoa, there's my 3 obedient cows. The rest, not so much. So I got them on old feed, and I'm debating whether to get feed or just let them hunger. They're cows, after all, right? They don't have to have every meal every day to survive. And again, I'm not trying to do massive weight gains right now. So there's lots of grass growing. We've been getting tiny amounts of rain for the past couple days. Ever since Monday. Hasn't really rained too much, you know. Anyway, so this is some old creep feed. And I checked it to make sure it wasn't moldy. And these are cattle cubes. So, yeah, they like cattle cubes. It's like crack cocaine for them. Anyway, wanted to talk a little bit about equipment, like what you're supposed to wear in the field. There's a lot of different opinions on this, and this is what I've decided is best for me. So I always start with a pair of boots. In this case, these are just leather cowboy boots. I've used and abused these guys, so you know their lifespan is limited. And when I take them home, I let them dry out, obviously. And they take a while to dry out. It didn't rain this morning, it's just humid. It's 100% humidity, so there's dew everywhere. There's our little lamb. You notice I pulled my pants over the boots. That's to keep weeds and seeds from getting inside. When it's wet outside, I'll wear rubber boots, and I'll put the pants on the inside if I don't want to get my pants wet. But if the grass is tall, I'll keep my pants on the outside to prevent weeds and stuff from getting inside. You silly sheep. Always getting where you're not supposed to be. The next article of clothing is pants, obviously. A good pair of blue jeans. I call them grubbies. Grubbies are clothing that you don't really have to get clean. You don't take the stains out of. If they get a tear or something, you don't really care. So you can get cheap pairs of jeans at your local farm store, probably around $20. It's going to have some stupid store generic brand, but that's what you want. You don't want anything fancy. If it bothers you that they get dirty, they're not grubbies. Don't wear them to the field, because they will get dirty. You can't prevent that. 2, 4, 5, 6, lining up the corner here. All right, there we go. That's the new corner post. You can see there's posts lined up down there. I'm going to take that reel it up to this lane, and bring it out to this corner post, and then bring it out there to rope off the old pasture so they don't back graze. Anyway, the next article of clothing. Oh, socks. You got to wear good socks. So I like to wear cotton socks. The cotton is nice because it absorbs the water, keeps your feet as dry as it can be. When your feet are wet, cotton isn't the best. Wool's the best if it's cold and your feet are wet. So if it's like cold outside and you're gonna get feet wet, put some wool socks on. You will enjoy having warm feet on a cold day. There's nothing like it. So pants, shirt. I wear long sleeve shirts. These are, I think they're $30. They look like cowboy shirts, but they're made out of thick canvas. They are not the most comfortable shirt in the world, but when you're working on barbed wire, you take your sleeves out, cuff them up, and the barbed wire will catch the shirt, but not your flesh, if you catch what I'm saying. Hat. Get a nice wide-brimmed straw hat. Hats are a little bit expensive. The cheap ones are like 40 bucks. I bought a cheap one. It lasted, about 6 months. Now it's falling apart. That's why I'm not wearing a hat right now. But the hats are essential for two purposes. Well, I'd say three purposes. Number one, it's kind of like an umbrella. If you get a wide-brimmed hat and it rains a little bit, it's nice to have the protection of a hat to keep your head dry, comparatively dry. The other reason why hats are nice is they keep the sun out of your face. I don't like sunglasses. I never have. I'm of the opinion that if you're in an environment where you need to wear sunglasses, that it's probably too much sun for your eyes. Probably shouldn't be there. But I found that if you have a hat covering your head, the glare from the sun on your eyes or around your eyes isn't too bad, and it's bearable. So get a hat. Also hats on a hot day. So on a hot day, if you have a cotton shirt and it's loose fitting, it doesn't matter if it's thick or thin fabric, and you will sweat and it will become drenched in sweat. And when the wind blows, you will freeze. Even if it's 100 degrees outside, when the wind blows and you're wearing a cotton shirt and it's soaking wet, you will freeze. The shirt also blocks the sun. You don't have to wear sun lotion. You get a farmer's tan, obviously. Let me show you my farmer's tan. You can see, I don't know if you can really tell, but my wrist is brown, but my arm is white. But it keeps the sun off of you. And the sun, I think, on a hot day is what really kills you, because all that energy coming onto your skin through direct sunlight, especially, I swear down here the sun is hotter than it is up at higher latitudes. So get a hat. The hat absorbs sweat. The straw hat absorbs sweat. And when the wind blows across your hat, not only do you have the shade from the hat to protect you, but you also have the cooling effect of the wind, drawing the moisture out of your hat. It's nice. And I even seen, like, on days where there's no wind and it's 100 degrees out, 95, 100, humidity's high. I've done a little experiments where I take my hat off and then put my hat on, and the hat makes me cooler 100%. It's kind of like standing under a tree. Hat, shirt, pants, boots, socks, gloves. These are cheap gloves. They're like 10 bucks. I got these gloves because they allow me to use a touch screen, which also allows me to use the fence controller, because you have to make a good connection there for the fence controller to work when you want to turn the fence on and off. And so I can wear gloves and turn the fence on and off now. Leather gloves are nice. To be honest, I wore the crap out of my last pair of leather gloves. I spent like 12, 15 bucks on them. They were nice. They lasted. Then they fell apart. They weren't that great when it was wet, but otherwise they were great. So maybe a pair of leather gloves, maybe a pair of these, where if they get wet it doesn't matter. They still work. In the winter, on the coldest days, I would wear a pair of winter gloves, and that keeps my hands warm. Maybe a pair of mittens is probably good too. Keeps your hands warm, and if you need to do something like tying rope, you can take your gloves off and put them back on. It's not a big deal. So yeah, a good pair of gloves. A jacket. They have these canvas jackets you can get. They're what, 70 bucks, something like that. Those things are warm. Now for my climate, it doesn't get below zero here. Well, below 0 centigrade, but not below 0 Fahrenheit. So I have a jacket, and if it's like 60 or below, I'll bring the jacket with me. If it's below 40, I'll zip up that jacket and just zip it up the whole time. But it's nice to have a thick, sturdy jacket that is warm on a cold day. And I've never had to wear long johns out here. No, I think I have a couple times. Yes, I have a couple times on the coldest days. I put a pair of long johns on under my jeans. Story in the long johns. So I used to live up in the Pacific Northwest. There was a kid I knew. His family moved up to Alaska. This is blue, obviously. Can't you tell that she's blue? Look at her. That's definitely 100% a color blue. Isn't that blue? That's blue. That's as blue as a cow can get. Anyway, so he went to Alaska and he came back after a couple of years and he told us the joys of long johns. And he said, it doesn't matter how cold it is. If you're wearing long johns plus jeans, your legs will be fine. You know, I don't know if that's completely true. I know it gets very cold in Alaska. My dad grew up in Wyoming and, you know, they would have days 40 below. But I asked him about like what they wore and he says, oh, just long johns. You just wear long johns and jeans. That's enough. Now, obviously, you're not going to stay outside for 24 hours. You're going to do as little as possible as you can outside because it's freaking cold and you will die. But, you know, a good coat, a good pair of jeans, and a good pair of long johns is all you need. So I have a pair of long johns at home and I use them like probably twice a year here in Texas. Northeast Texas. Right, Blue? Another thing I've noticed, if you're worried about cows getting cold, don't. So last year we had like kind of an ice storm. It was raining and freezing, and the cows actually had icicles on their back. And they have thick skin. They have a thick layer of fat too. And yeah, they're going to burn more energy to stay warm. And they'll do things like they'll huddle together and they'll get under the trees to take shelter. But none of them were shivering. And I don't know if that's just a cow thing, but I went up to one of them, put my hand on him, like brushed off the ice, put my hand on her. And after a couple seconds, I could feel the warmth from inside. These are bigger animals than humans. They don't get cold easily, you know. And they do sweat. I have, you know, on a hot day, you can go up and they'll be damp. They'll be sweating. So they do fine in the heat. They do fine in the cold. So you don't have to worry about them too much. I know that I've seen people around here put blankets on their horses on cold days. I assume that's because the horses don't do as well in the cold, you know. But anyway, look at her slobber. You're a slobbering cow. Yeah, red being red. She knows she has the biggest horns on this pasture. She's willing to use them too. Anyway, so yeah, get some good clothes. It covers against the bugs. It covers against the seeds and the twigs and the branches and all the little things that'll fall into your boots. When you're reaching into when you want to do some fence work and there's spider webs and you're wearing a long sleeve shirt and gloves, you're a lot more willing to, you know, put your hands in places you normally wouldn't put them. The other thing too is just get used to getting dirty. Dirt's just part of life out here. So you're just going to get dirty. So be prepared when you come home to have a place to put your boots where your wife won't complain. It needs to be dry. Get used to coming out and shaking your boots out before you put them on too. You know, sometimes we had the June bugs, and the June bugs would get in there, and so it'd feel like you have a rock in your boot, but it's just a June bug. And which, you know, is kind of disgusting when you realize it. But this morning I went out and I saw ants like building nests all around our porch. So I'm like, I don't want ants in my boots. So I shook my boots out. Because one of the things about ants is you really can't kill them. All you do is you cause them to move somewhere else. And then when it rains, the ants are all on the move. So after a rain, you know, everybody gets bit by ants. Sulfur. So I did get a sulfur sock. I bought sulfur powder, which is used for gardening. I put it in an old sock, tied it off, and I've dusted myself with sulfur. And I haven't really seen the difference between sulfur and no sulfur. I guess it'll help if you're not wearing long pants. My kids, they come out here in shorts, and I don't understand that. We have pants for them to wear, you know, but they'd rather wear shorts out here. And that just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, so they come out here with shorts, and they get bit. They get ticks, and not ticks, but what are they called? Chiggers. It's a type of tick. Oh, by the way, number 18 has lost his umbilical cord. Finally. Right, number 18? Look at that beautiful calf. I love the coloring. You know, I love that coloring. and the eyeliner and the eyelashes. What a beautiful calf. He's still pretty thin, which isn't ideal, but it's better than dead. Here's Blue's calf, several weeks older, maybe 3 or 4 weeks older. I put her tag in and somehow it came out. I can't help but wonder if it gets infected or something, and then they itch it and it just comes out. But lots of people tag both ears. But you know, in the case of the Longhorns here, it's pretty easy to identify who's who because they all have different patterns. So probably shouldn't be tagging the Longhorns. Like number 12 here, like looks like all of her cousins. You know, they all have the same color pattern. They're all black. It's a he. It's a him. So anyway, yeah, that's just some notes on clothing. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.